We're running out of resources. So let's talk about Earth Overshoot Day. This date gets closer and closer every single year. But what is it? What is Earth Overshoot Day? Can we change the date? Let's get into it. Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all sorts of things zero waste, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live zero waste. But of course, we also have to talk about important topics like this, how we are over-consuming so much and we're hurting the planet in the process, as well as hurting ourselves because of it. Yes, this post might be a little bit scary, a little bit doom, but I promise there's some things that we can do at the end to keep giving us hope, and so we can keep trying to have a better future for ourselves and everyone else to come. First, what is Earth Overshoot Day? According to the Earth Overshoot Day organization, Earth Overshoot Day marks the date when humanity's demand for ecological resources and services in a given year exceeds what Earth can regenerate in that year. We maintain this deficit by liquidating stocks of ecological resources and accumulating waste, primarily carbon dioxide, in the atmosphere. Basically, if we piled up all of Earth's resources that it created in one calendar year, from January 1st to December 31st, we're using up that stockpile on Earth Overshoot Day instead of making it last throughout the entire calendar year through December 31st. Earth Overshoot Day should be December 31st, right? It should be, but it's not. In fact, we're pretty far from that goal. This year, Earth Overshoot Day is July 25th. That means we're using 1 year's worth of resources in just 7 months. Last year in 2023, it was August 3rd. We've moved that day up 8 days because of our overconsumption. So this means if on January 1st, we were to extract all of the Earth's resources that it could produce in one calendar year, we would use up all of those resources and be out of those resources. We will be out of those resources by July 25th. Meaning that the last 5 months of the year, we're kind of dipping into 2025's resources. We've already used up all that the Earth can create in just 1 year. So yeah, the good news is we don't actually run out of these resources. We can keep living normally these last 5 months of the year. But the bad news is we're dipping into next year's resources. We're dipping into the resources of our future selves and of future generations. We're using more than we need to. And this is why the clock gets farther and farther back every single year, because we're using more and more resources from the years in the future. We can also look at this image right here. This is each country's Earth Overshoot Day to see who the real culprits are in terms of overconsumption. This isn't every single country on the planet, but there are some that are doing much better than others. Some countries, if everyone were to live like people from this country that's having their Earth Overshoot Day in November or December, that's how long it would take to use all of Earth's resources. But if everyone were to live like an American, Earth Overshoot Day would be March 14th. Not even 3 whole months into the year. 2.5 months into the year. If everybody lived like Americans, we would use all of the Earth's resources, because that's how much Americans are over-consuming. And yeah, there are countries that are worse, that are consuming more than Americans. I'm not gonna say Americans are the worst. I'm an American. I am gonna say that Americans typically over-consume. And if everybody were to live that overconsumptive lifestyle, we would run out of resources so quickly. So let's talk about now, how is Earth Overshoot Day even calculated? How do they come up with this number? I'll once again let the folks at Earth Overshoot Day explain this much better than I could. So to determine the Earth Overshoot Day every single year, the Global Footprint Network calculates the number of days of that year that Earth's biocapacity suffices to provide for humanity's ecological footprint. The remainder of the year corresponds to the global overshoot. Earth Overshoot Day is computed by dividing the planet's biocapacity, the amount of ecological resources Earth is able to generate in that year, by humanity's ecological footprint, humanity's demand for that year, by multiplying by 365 number of days in a year. In short, it's this formula right here. Earth's biocapacity, how much the Earth creates in 1 year, divided by the demand for that resources, how much we're consuming, times 365, the number of days in a year, equals Earth Overshoot Day, which is perhaps why this year is another day back, because it's a leap year, so maybe they had to divide it by 365. But regardless, that really helped me put it into perspective, so hopefully that helps you as well. Earth Overshoot Day first became a thing just in 2006. It's a pretty recent kind of activism campaign. Andrew Sims, who worked at the UK think tank New Economics Foundation, worked this idea in 2006. He partnered with the Global Footprint Network to launch the first campaign. The year after, the World Wildlife Fund, the world's largest conservation organization, has participated and promoted the event. And it has grown exponentially since then, because I'm sure you probably didn't hear about it in 2006. If you did, cool, but maybe you're just hearing about it today. Maybe you're like me and you only heard about it just a couple years ago. And yeah, this date, this concept, this campaign, it's scary. It really is scary to think that we're using more than the Earth allots every single year. And of course this is harming the planet, but it's also harming us in the process. I'm not trying to spread doom, but I do want to spread facts. And the fact is, we're running out of resources before the Earth can reproduce them. Let's take this back to like 2nd grade science class, renewable versus non-renewable resources. But even then, even renewable resources, things like water, trees. I mean, I guess technically trees might be non-renewable if we were to extract them too quickly. But even then, even renewable resources can still run out because we're using them too quickly. Isn't that crazy? These resources are supposed to be renewable forever. They're supposed to infinitely regenerate. But they might not, because we're still over-consuming them too quickly. So I hope that this movement continues to grow, continues to bring light on our rampant overconsumption, and hopefully gets people caring about the planet. But yes, it's scary, but here's some things that you and I can do in our everyday lives to help hopefully reduce the burden a little bit of Earth Overshoot Day. Now, of course, this isn't just calculated based off of what individuals use. This is also what corporations use, militaries, governments. And yeah, they're the ones who are really to blame. They're the ones who are using much more resources than you and I, but the stuff that you and I can reduce does make a difference. So let's get into that. First, stop impulse buying, especially an American. Americans, again, are just known for overconsumption, thinking before buying, buying stuff, buying into trends, buying a million Stanley Cups even though you only need one. Think before you purchase. And I know it's a hard habit to break if you grew up shopping when you're bored, shopping for fun. So the next time you go into a store and you think, oh my gosh, I don't have a Stanley in this color yet, I need to get it. Think about a few things first. Am I going to actually use it? Where am I going to store it? Do I have room for it? How often am I going to use it? What am I going to do if I don't end up using it? Is it going to go into the landfill? Ask yourselves these things because if you don't have an idea of what you're going to use it for, where you're going to store it, where you're going to put it, are you actually going to use it and love it? Maybe, maybe not. So think before you buy. Next, use what you have, bringing it back to the water bottle. If you already have a water bottle, you don't need another one. You don't need to go buy a set of matching jars when you already have a jar lying around from empty pasta sauce. Look around you, make use of the stuff that's already in your home that you've already purchased. Make use of that before buying something new. Of course, that's better for the planet, but will also save you money. Next is to donate. If you're doing a declutter, don't throw stuff in the landfill unless it's truly trashed, like an old receipt or something. But if you have something like an empty jar, an old pair of shoes, an old shirt, think before throwing it away. Maybe it's not really in good condition. Can you recycle it in some way? Can you upcycle it or repurpose it? Can you just give it away for free if it's not in the best condition? If it is in good condition, donate it or even sell it to make yourself some money. And if you want to learn more about how we're actually running out of landfill space as well as running out of resources, you can check out this video. When you're shopping, shop for stuff that is of really high quality so that it lasts a long time. Of course, this does come with the privilege of having extra money to spend on this stuff, but if you have the extra money, I highly encourage you to spend a little bit more money on a nicer set of knives or some nicer shirts versus fast fashion shirts because that stuff's not meant to last. You might get a little bit of use out of it, but you're probably going to end up having to throw it away or recycle it and then just keeping that cycle over and over again, which can add up money-wise. Usually, higher quality stuff will last longer. Higher price tag does not mean high quality though. From personal experience, I bought some Girlfriend Collective sweatpants. We're going to be talking about that in next week's video as well. Zero-waste swaps that I do not recommend. Twice. I bought 2 pair of their sweatpants and both times they were ripped so badly in the thighs. Never even had fast fashion sweatpants do that. It will take a little bit of research to find something that's high quality because again, higher price tag does not necessarily mean high quality. But on the other end of this conversation too is to make your stuff last. If you can only afford to shop fast fashion, if you can only afford to buy cheaply made stuff, do what you got to do, but make it last. Wash your clothing on colder temperatures, hang dry when possible, mend your items, just move stuff carefully, don't like throw stuff around, especially stuff that's breakable. Be gentle with your items, care for them, because even if you do have to shop at fast fashion, you can make that sustainable by making it last. I already kind of hinted at this, but learn to upcycle, learn to mend. Let's see. Oh, my rug. I always talk about this rug. It's a great example. A bunch of old t-shirts from like my old high school job, my old high school, 5K races, like stuff that people probably won't buy if I send it to a thrift store. So instead I cut them up and I turned it into a rug that I use every single day. I've had for years and I'll probably have for more and more years. And other stuff too, if you have a small hole in your pants, learn how to fix it. If a button fell off, learn how to fix it. Get creative, learn all these new skills, and try to keep stuff out of the landfill. Similar to donating is to shop secondhand. If you're looking for a new shirt, a blender, a notebook, go look secondhand. You could go in person to a thrift store, you could search online on places like OfferUp, Depop, eBay, Facebook Marketplace. Now there is a dark side to thrift stores you can check out in this video, especially big chain thrift stores like Goodwill and the Salvation Army. They're really not as sustainable as you thought they might be. If you want to learn more about why shopping secondhand is so important, you can check out this video, and if it can't be up here, it will be down below. But in short, shopping secondhand essentially just means that all of these precious resources that we're extracting from the earth don't have to be made into something new. Instead, we can just use something that's already been created, and then when you're purchasing it, there's no resource footprint for that item. Of course, these were all physical items, but we also need to look at our invisible waste in the form of emissions because that counts towards Earth's resources as well, in the form of oil, coal, and gas. So reducing your emissions will collectively reduce how much we're all using. You can conserve energy, conserve water, and ditch the car when possible. I have energy and water conservation videos linked down below, as well as a video all about how you can give up supporting big oil, even if you can't give up your car, that you can check out right here. Because maybe you're like me, I live in a very, very rural part of the country right now where it's literally an hour to the grocery store, so I simply can't give up a car. But what you can do is reduce your reliance on plastic, switch your bank, and so much more that you can find out in that video. And the last thing that you can do is to inspire others. I particularly say this because typically my audience is already people who care about the planet. They're already people who are reducing waste, being mindful of their actions. But perhaps the people in your life aren't acting the same way as you are. My family doesn't really. My friends don't really. Taking what you're learning today in this video and spreading the word to people that you work with, that you live with, that you go to school with. Now you don't have to go out and like preach to them. You don't have to start your own social media channel, but what you can do is the next time someone talks about fast fashion, bring up how harmful it is to the planet. The next time someone is going on a Stanley craze, bring up overconsumption and talk about the importance of things like Earth Overshoot Day, how we're using too many of Earth's resources, we're running out of resources, we're running out of landfill space. Now, of course, don't scare people. It's hard because this stuff can be scary, but it's just factual. We just need to spread this information. Yeah, inspire others, lead by example, and hopefully the more of us that keep doing these small little things will have a bigger collective action. I'm sure everyone's heard the phrase before, we need like everyone doing zero waste imperfectly versus like 100 people doing zero waste absolutely perfectly. And that's so true, because if every single person on this planet just reduced a little bit of their energy, reduced a little bit of their overconsumption, recycled better, that has a much bigger impact than me being a perfect environmentalist and nobody watching this trying at all. Earth Overshoot Day is scary, especially because it gets sooner and sooner every year, and I think it would be a great goal if we could all push this date back to December 31st. Is that possible? It's going to take a lot of work, and again, not just a lot of work between you and me, but a lot of work with governments, militaries, corporations, and they really won't get on board because they're too focused on profit. But I think it's a good challenge, and I think we should all continuously try to reduce our consumption. We wait for governments to get it together and militaries, of course, keep voting and keep demanding action. We wait for them to actually get on board and maybe care about us. We can care about ourselves and we can do what we can. Individual actions matter, and it matters that the more of us that do it. Small individual actions matter, but small individual collective action matters even more. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you watching this video, especially if you made it all the way to the end. This is such an important topic, especially as Earth Overshoot Day creeps closer and closer towards the beginning of the year. Keep doing what you can, keep demanding action. I hope that this video taught you something and hopefully left you hopeful, more hopeful than it did scared. Let us know what you think about Earth Overshoot Day down below. I'll see you in the next video, again, where we're talking about zero waste swaps that I regret and do not recommend. So I'll see you then, but until then, remember that your small actions make a big difference in the long run. Bye, guys. Ready, go. All right, milkshake. We have mosquitoes, so she can't lollygag. But the bat, supposed to like infinitely,